Welcome back. In the previous lesson, we downloaded all of these footage. We got some sound effects, music, and some clips. Then we placed it into our timeline, as you see right here. So now it's time to put in those sound effects and get started with the sound design. The first thing you want to do before adding in all of these sound effects is to analyze your music. There's always a high and a low in these songs, such as when the beat drops. So unlike our previous example where we had like a constant piano in the back, here we have more going on, and therefore I want to match those beats with my videos. Let's extend the audio bar right here and zoom in into my timeline. So without me having to play this, you can see that things are slow here, but right around here things start to get pretty intense. So this right here is like the prequel of the song, and then this is where the beat drops, and the most epic thing needs to happen right here. So based on my videos, I'm gonna decide which one's the most epic and which one is not. So the boxing one is pretty epic, but the jump rope, I guess you can say that it's not the most epic thing in the world. So let's bring it in front. Get rid of the first half and then cut it right at this beat drop. Just zoom in here. Bring your playhead right there, click away, and then hit Command K or Control K on Windows. I can get rid of this half. Then bring in the next intense work, which I will just choose the basketball and then the boxing video. Let's get rid of the cross dissolves and create new ones by hitting down Command D or Control D. So now when I play this back, you can see jump straight into basketball. I chose basketball over boxing. This is my preference. You can of course go with the boxing first, but now I have something that matches my music. Later on, we're going to use what we learned from the speed lessons to match the speed with what's happening in the music. And just to fill up this space, I went ahead and got another basketball video. So one right here, there's more than one person here, so this is like a match that this subject prepared for. Bring it right there. Close it off right at the peak. Use C on your keyboard to grab the razor tool, make a cut, get rid of the excess. Command D or Control D on this final video, and now I have filled the timeline. Alright, so I'm going to mute this for a second, and that way I can just analyze the video and start putting in the different sound effects. So let's begin with the jump rope. I'm going to play it and then hit M whenever the rope hits the ground. There we go. I did this on the video itself. You can do it on the timeline by clicking away. Once I have all my markers, I can bring in my jump rope sound effect. Let's extend this and find the jump rope. There we go. Drag it underneath. Let's give it a listen. Close this down a bit. Open this instead. Let's give it a different color. And when you have videos like this, the best type of sound is the ones where it's clean. So there's no background audio in between them. There isn't someone talking, some random noises. This way I can just duplicate this track as many times as I need to fill up my timeline. So let's match the rope with the sounds. So let's have the audio begin on our first marker. And the audio should match on its own. If it's not, just work with it, but because the person in this audio recording is skipping ropes, then the rhythm should be the same. You just have to adjust the duplicate. So it needs to start here rather than here. Let's get rid of the first part. and match the start. There we go. We can cut off the excess, and that's my first audio track. Let's minimize that track and make room for the rest. Back to our project panel, we need to add in the second noise. I'm just going to take a look, and that's the gym audio. Bring it right in, underneath everything else, starting with the video clip. Change the color as you go on so that things can be less confusing. Solo this track, and we can decide when it should end. I'm going to lower the audio a bit, and then Command K right on this area. We could linger it for a little bit after the video ends. That's one of the techniques we used in the previous lesson. Now let's listen to everything all together, soloing the jump rope and the gym. We don't need the music for now. Later on, we will work with the volume of each one. For now, just try to make it relevant to what you're seeing. I think that's all we need. The breathing, I believe, is for the boxing footage. Yeah, okay. So for our first clip, we just needed these things. And when I play it back, this is what we have. So the sounds are all there, but because one of them is overpowering the other ones, we're not quite hearing the gym noises and the jump rope noises. So we definitely need to adjust the audios. Let's move to the second track. I'm going to mute the music so I can focus on what's happening. So here we have a dribbling effect going on. Before I move on, I'm going to add the exponential fade at the beginning and at the end of my gym audio. You don't need to do it for the jumping rope audio because, like we said, it's clean. And if we take a look at the sound waves, nothing is happening at the start and at the end. So let's add our first audio, which is the sound of the ball hitting the ground. Let me double click on this. There we go. This is the audio we took for this situation. Played a few seconds before the basketball video. Let's change the color into dark green. And now play your video back, marking out the areas where the ball hits the ground. You can either select the clip and make markers on that clip, or click away and have the markers up here. Let's change the color of the video and begin analyzing. There we go. So this is our first hit. And it's matched with that. I'm just going to cut the audio right here and match the second one with the second marker. Hit S to disable snapping, and that way you will have an easier time moving these tracks around. Cut the extra bit off. We're still going to use this audio for our second basketball clip, so don't delete this. So there are some background audios on these clips, therefore I need to just fade them in and fade them out. To do this manually, it's going to take a long time. So what you can do is to create your own shortcuts so that with 2 keys you can have that transition happen. Go to the Premiere Pro menu, keyboard shortcuts, and right over here we can search crossfade. In the timeline panel, you have two options. So the video crossfade is Command D, but the audio crossfade is something different. You can change this by deleting this and then pressing the keys that you want. So I will go with, let's say, Command H, and now I can apply the crossfade transition for my audios. So Command H, and now I have the crossfade transition that I can just kind of adjust to my liking. There we go, that's so much better. You can also grab a few, Command H, and have it all look the same. So I added those cross dissolve transitions, and now the audio fades in, then fades out. So that's the first audio track for this video. Let's add the next one. So for this one, I'm going to keep it really simple because it's in slow motion. From this one audio, I'm getting the ball effect and some distant talks. So I only need one track for this. Now onto a more real-time video. So this one is not in slow motion. And therefore I can add more audio. The sound of the people will not be heard, but if you did want to add some noises of people talking or people cheering, you would have to match it with the speed of the video. So we can't have a slow motion clip and have people shouting in real time. We need to slow that down so it's more realistic. Onto the real-time clip, add your box saying audio, place it right underneath. And the reason why we're giving each one a separate audio track is that when we adjust the audios, we will have an easier time. So that when we adjust the audios, we will have more control over how each track sounds. Now this is a clean audio as well. If I pull it down, you can see that there's nothing going on here and throughout each of the punches. So there's no point in me starting it from here. And I just need to match these high points with each punch. Select your video, play it back, and hit M whenever they come in contact. Just going to change this to a different color and then proceed to do that. Since this is in real time, you would want to use your playhead. He is quite fast. Just go in slowly. There's the first punch. Hit M. There's the second punch. Make sure that it hits the sandbag before you make a marker. And there's the third punch. No punches, and then he goes back. So I'm going to do that, create my markers, and then I'll be right back. So I have all of these markers, and now it's time to match the hits with the markers. Go to the first one, drag the track right there. Be sure to disable snapping by hitting S on your keyboard so you can move these guys around. There's my first punch. Trim the second one by hitting C on your keyboard to get the razor tool, and just repeat these punches. And now I have my first set of punches. Repeat this with all the other markers, and then we'll be ready to move on to our next audio track. So I have all these different cuts, and now our subject is actually punching the sandbag. There we go. And again, we have the perk of a clean audio. I don't need to add a crossfade transition for all of these little tracks. So make sure that the audio tracks you find are clean tracks so that you don't have to add that transition. I'm going to pull these up. We're getting quite a lot of audio tracks. make some space here, and now onto our next audio. Let's go in the project, and I think we had like a gym. There we go, workout, gym, training, boxing. So this was supposed to be for the background music. I'm gonna drag it right underneath our video, and this one, because there is stuff going on, I can start it before the video actually shows up. So this is where the video begins, but I will start it right here. Label this into something different so we don't mix them up. Command H to fade the beginning and the end. This is a bit too much. We're gonna balance the volumes later on, but right now we have the nice punching noises and the sounds of other people maybe training. Let's just close this off, again a little after the video finishes. Looking good. So let's move on to the next video. It's a little zoomed in. I'm gonna set to frame size. Looking good. Got these black bars. Extend that in. There we go. So for this one, we have a lot more audios. First one being the scratchy noises that the sneakers usually make when they're playing basketball. So just add that right in below everything, and let's match that with what's happening. Have it begin when the constant power transition starts. Command H. So we are secretly fading one out and secretly fading one in. We just need to match it with the actual shoe movement. So whenever this is happening, let me just rewind that. The foot is forward. It kind of gets pulled back. That's when this squeaky sound is made. So I'm going to begin the audio here actually. It's a little too slow. Let's go back. Good. All right. First squeak. We had one here, so cut this. Start it around here. Command H. Guess that will do. Pretty good. Now we can just duplicate this audio since we have a little bit of the video left. Hold down Option or Alt, click and drag to the side. They can stay in one track since it's the same audio. Let's see if there's any squeaking motion. He's landing straight, so there won't be any sounds. Let's take a look at the opponent. Maybe when he lands, because he landed with his toe first and then his heel. So just pull this towards the side. And there we go. Cut the audio around here. Command H again. And fix the duration. Pretty good. Change the color as always. We want to be organized as we move forward. All right, the next audio for this one, let's see, I think it was this. All right, so I can use this for my second basketball video. This is in real time, so there will be more bounces compared to the other basketball video. Again, I would have to play this through. Mark when the ball hits the ground. and match it with the sound effect. I'm not seeing the ball bounce here, but I guess we can assume there's one out of frame, one behind him. And there we go. I can just copy these guys since they are pre-faded and ready to go. Option or Alt, bring it underneath and match it with the markers. Got our second marker. I can just bring this in. Command H on this audio. Make sure that there's a transition at the start and at the end if your audio is not clean. Or else you're going to get a really awkward cut when you're playing your video back. That's our next marker. One here. And finally one here. Command H if you plan on cutting the audios. Now, if the audio is too short for you to add a constant power transition, you can just do a manual transition by going to the, selecting the video first, then going to Effect Controls, enabling the stopwatch for levels, making a keyframe, go to the end and just reduce it to like negative something. Do the same thing for this one, because sometimes when your audio is really short, these transitions will not work. Let's play this back. Alright, so you may have noticed the rise and fall in the sneaker audio, but when it goes underneath the music, you will not hear it as much. Alright, so I think we used all of our audios. We have this breathing audio that I think I'll place on this third basketball clip because you exhale with every punch and he was punching pretty fast. So for this breathing, I think we can put it for basketball. So it's kind of like we're inside the player's head as they're focused on the ball. Label your audio track. And I think the audio is good. It was a constant breathing. Yeah, I think that's good. Command H, and we're pretty much done with the audios. This is what we have. It's looking pretty crazy, but it's absolutely necessary for audio design. So in this lesson, we combined all of the different audio tracks that we had, matched it with a video, and now we're ready to do some final adjustments, balance the different volumes, put on maybe some text, some speed effects, and so on forth. We already know a lot about how to use Premiere Pro, so you really have the liberty of doing anything you want to this video. So I will see you guys in the next lesson where we continue with this video.